Just 2 weeks ago, Apple released iOS 14 that brought very needed updates when it comes to how you can organize your iPhone's home screen. First of all, of course, we got widgets, but besides that, there's also a new app library that lets you automatically organize your apps without having all of them on your home screen. And surprisingly enough, this update actually sparked a lot of people trying to customize their iPhone home screens to a degree that we never really saw. And if you go onto Twitter, Pinterest or TikTok, you will see people making crazy creations on their iPhone home screens. And I didn't go that far in my own setup, and my setup is quite plain and it's very minimalistic. And in this video, I would like to show it to you. First of all, I'm still using an iPhone 10 that I showed on a few of my old videos, and that's almost a 3-year-old phone. And to be honest, I start noticing that the phone is a little bit slower than I would like it to be, especially on iOS 14. But besides that, everything is really good with it. And the battery didn't really degrade as much as I would expect it to. I can just quickly check that, and yeah, that's 92%, which is actually quite good for 2.5-year-old phone. And yeah, when it comes to my home screen, as I said in the beginning of the video, it's very simple. But I actually want to start with the today view because that's still part of iOS 14. And I think that's something that many people forgot about iOS 14, that you can still hold widgets inside of the today view, so you don't necessarily have to have them on your home screen. In my case, I have a huge shortcuts widget here, so that's the biggest size available for widgets. And the first shortcut I have is one that allows me to quickly create a song link to a song playing in Apple Music. And that's very handy because most of my friends use Spotify, and if I want to share a song with them and I don't want to share Apple Music link with them, I can use that shortcut for that. The next shortcut I have here is Instagram hashtag helper, and it allows me to quickly copy a set of hashtags that I might use. So in that case, I have 3 different devices I take photos with. It's my Fujifilm camera that I'm recording with right now, it's my drone or my phone, and that allows me to quickly paste them into a new Instagram post. Next one, I have 2 shortcuts that I use with Things, to do app that I made a video about a few weeks ago. One of them is for the iPhone and the other one is for the iPad, because Things has separate versions of the app for both of the devices. It basically just creates a list of things that I would like to pack for a trip. And here I can just specify where I'm going, and that's just creating a checklist inside of Things. You can see that all the tasks are already added here. That's super handy if I have a checklist that constantly repeats, and I think it's perfect for things like packing lists. The next shortcut here is Netflix time, and that's something that uses HomeKit routines. So if I would tap it, that would run, first of all, a HomeKit scene that would set the lights in the living room to something I said before, and it would also turn on my Apple TV with the Netflix app already turned on. The next shortcut is just for turning off the TV, because I have a dumb TV that doesn't have any smart features, but I have a shortcut that kind of overcomes that with turning on the Apple TV and then turning it off 5-10 seconds later. The next shortcut, Open the Door, is actually something I kind of hacked. So it uses an API of a door opener that we have installed here in the building. I just managed to find a right code that allows me to open the door, and surprisingly it works just fine with Apple shortcuts. The last shortcut is just Remind Me at Home, and it's very basic. It basically just creates a reminder in Apple's Reminder app that turns on every time I'm back at home. And in that case, the default value is laundry, because I just want to be reminded about taking laundry out when I'm back home. And yeah, that's all when it comes to my shortcuts widget, and to be honest, these are also my most used shortcuts period. The next 3 widgets are very basic. First one is Parcel, which is an app for tracking deliveries. I've been using it for years. It's pretty good. And I was testing the beta of the app with the widget support for a while now, and it's working really well with it. And the next 2 widgets are, first of all, Activity. So that's all the activity tracking from my Apple Watch. And then the last one is the battery widget that allows me to see the battery level on my iPhone, my Apple Watch, my AirPods, and so on. So that was the today view. Now we can go to the home screen. It's also quite basic. So first of all, I have a widget on top of the screen, and here I have 3 different widgets inside of a smart stack. So basically it changes during the day depending on what widget is the most useful for me at the very moment. And so far I think that the automatic switching between different widgets works quite well. So that's the setup I'm gonna stick with for now. So the first one is weather, the most basic one from Apple. Next one is calendar, it's also very basic. And the last one is things, and that's something I'm very happy about. I can just tap and hold here, I can edit it and choose a different list. I can also filter the tasks using a tag that I assigned before, and all of that will affect what the widget is displaying at the very time. And yeah, that's also the last widget I use on my phone. As you can see, the next one is just weather, so it just loops. But if I go through the list of different apps that support widgets, you can see that there is already quite a few third-party apps that support them. I have, for example, Apollo, which is a Reddit client. I have Brink, which is a shopping list I use. There is Drafts, which is a really nice note-taking app that uses Markdown. There is Night Sky, which is also a great app for checking out how the sky looks around you, Scanner Pro, and a few other ones. And I would totally recommend just going to the widget panel and see what kind of apps that you have installed on your phone already support the new widgets in iOS 14. And I'm pretty sure there is already a lot of them that support it. So now, since we covered the widgets, we can go to more normal what's on my iPhone video. So just going through all the different apps that I have on my phone. Again, I have only one home screen. Now there is an option to just hide the apps that you are not using. So in my case, I used to have 2 pages and one of them was just full of folders. And of course, that's no longer necessary since there's the app library that just sorts all the apps that you don't want to have on your home screen into categories. So I no longer have to think about that. And to be honest, that's one of my favorite features of iOS 14. But I still do have a few apps on the home screen. So first of all, I have Mail, Calendar, and Notes, which are the basic Apple productivity apps. And to be honest, I tried many different options to replace each of them. For Mail, I was trying out Spark, and it's quite good, but it has some privacy concerns. Then Calendar, I was trying out Fantastical, but I really didn't like how notifications work on the Apple Watch. And for Notes, I think that's the only app I'm really considering changing to something that supports Markdown, like for example Bear. But for now it's quite good, and I also really like how Notes shows different web bookmarks. In the middle of these 3 apps I also have Things, and that's an app that I use as my to-do list, and I already made a video about that you can find here. Next one is Safari, and that's my web browser of choice because now there is actually a choice of web browsers on the iPhone. So if, for example, if you're using Chrome or Firefox, you can set it as your default web browser. I'm still sticking to Safari since I also use it on my Mac. Next is Apple Music, and I also made a video about that on my channel, so you can find it here again. And that's the streaming app I'm using for my music listening. And I really like it, and I think the iOS 14 update didn't change that much, although for me it's a bit confusing right now. So the library used to be very on the left side, and now it's almost the last icon in the bar at the bottom. But otherwise, I really like how clean the app is and the fact that I also have music videos there, which is not something you can find on Spotify. After that, I have Podcasts, which is again a default app from Apple. And I did use Pocket Cast quite a lot in the past, especially moving from Android to the iPhone. I really like the fact that I can have all the podcasts that I already subscribed to on my previous phone already on the iPhone, and the app is also really well designed. But what I really like about Apple Podcasts is the fact that it syncs really well between all of my Apple devices, regardless if it's an iPhone, if it's a Mac or an Apple Watch. And it actually does support handoff, which is something still not supported by Apple Music, by the way. But yeah, it's a pretty good app. It has chapter support, which I really care about. And to be honest, I don't really feel like I need another app for listening to podcasts. And the last app in this row is Reader, and that's an RSS reader, but you can also use it as your read later service. So as you can see, I have my Feedly feed here, now it's syncing, and I can go here to see the latest articles that I'm subscribed to. And then I can go back and I have read later. So these are all the articles I saved to read later inside of Reader. And I really like how they show up in the app. I also have quite a lot of control when it comes to how the article is displayed, what kind of font I'm using, and so on. I think the app is free right now, so if you go to the App Store, you can check it out, and I would totally recommend getting it. The next row is quite boring, so first one is Google Maps, and I'm still trying to switch to Apple Maps once in a while, but the only thing that really stops me from doing that is the fact that cycling directions are still not working besides a few cities in the US and in China. And on top of that, Apple Maps is still not really fast when it comes to adding new locations. So for example, I went to a restaurant yesterday and somehow it was still not on Apple Maps, even though it opened like a few months ago, I think. Next one is Apple Home app, and I actually made quite a few videos on it, so you can check them out here. After that, I have Apple Photos, and I use it as my storage solution for keeping all of my photos and videos safe. I really like it. I have nothing more to say about it. And the last row I have here is my camera row, let's say. So first one is Lightroom that I use for editing photos. I mostly use it on my iPad where I edit photos that I took with my camera, but on the iPhone it's really nice for just editing photos that I took with my phone. It also features a camera that allows you to shoot in RAW, but for that I have two different apps. The first one is Moment that I actually mostly use for shooting video because it allows me to change frame rate and the resolution of the video. So that, for example, I can record in 1080p and 24 FPS, which I do on my camera. And with the Apple On Camera app, you can only record in 24 FPS if you're recording in 4K. And it also allows you to shoot in a flat profile, which is great for color grading later on. And some of you might ask if I tried Filmic Pro for doing that, and the answer is no, but I'm thinking about that and actually want to compare both Moment and Filmic Pro to see which one is a better option. And the next manual camera app I have is Helite, and I think that's the most popular option when it comes to these manual camera apps on the iPhone, and I really like it because of how intuitive it is. I think that other pro camera apps on the iPhone just require too much tweaking, and this one has a perfect middle ground of having a lot of functions but also being quite simple to use. And the last one is the Apple camera app that I just keep it here to have easy access to it. And last but not least is the dock. And here I just have the basic communication apps that I use all the time. So I have Phone, which I actually don't use it that often, I think. Then I have iMessage, WhatsApp and Telegram. And I actually use all of them with different people. And I kind of hate that we all have now like 20 different apps to communicate with people. And yeah, these are all the apps that I keep on my home screen. As I mentioned before, I also use the app library, and most of the apps on my phone are here. I think here I have few notable selections like the creativity folder where I keep app for controlling my camera. I have the DJI app for controlling my drone. I also have Spectre, which is another app from the creators of Helite that allows you to shoot these really cool long exposure shots. And I also have Night Mode, which is a camera app that allows you to shoot night mode photos even if you don't have the newer iPhones. And besides that, I think that the rest of the apps I have on my phone are quite common and there is nothing really special. If you'd like to know more about any of the apps that I just talked about, be sure to leave a comment down below. I would love to go more in detail into any of them and tell you why I'm using them. And feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions about iOS 14 or widgets or any other new feature. And if you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe. I will be making more videos like this one. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.